guys, Phoenix61 here. How's it going? So Phoenix Talons, right? So the new story stuff for Season 3 has arrived, and you can now craft the new demi cannons, right? The shotgun style cannons, the Phoenix Talons. If you've been progressing through the Season 3 storyline, you can pick up the next step here at Rama. It was a little kind of unclear, but you can see she's got a new mission called Raging Inferno. That is the start of the newest, latest quest line, right? So if you're interested in the Phoenix Talons and it's post Season 3, right, you're probably going to have to get them from, drops and chests and other stuff like that. Seems to be sort of the pattern of new weapons, right, as they enter, right? So typically you can first craft them, right, through missions or whatever, and then as season progresses, there's other ways to get them, right? So here they are, Phoenix Talons, right? We're going to craft our first one of these. They do take some of the higher end materials, right? So just keep that in mind. I think we'll check at the refinery, but there's the worm volatile napalm, right? So that I think takes an hour to craft at the refinery. So just keep that in mind. I had enough to do 2 right off the bat here, so I made both. I made 2, sets or whatever you want to call them, right? And then I'm going to go up to the refinery and just show you what I'm talking about, right? So you could see the materials list when we crafted it over on the right. It had some rubber in the works here, but yeah, you're going to need a couple of these as well. So just keep that in mind, and these take, right? So you need one of these for each Phoenix Talon you want to craft, right? So I'm going to just make a few of them, and always keep in mind at the refinery, right, you can use all 3 people to make the same thing. So I'm just gonna tell each of them to make 1, and then I'll have 3 within an hour, because I want to do a full-on Phoenix Talon build all the way for the full ship, right? We'll use our SAM-book and play around with that. But since I've got at least 1, I went and did some general fighting, right? So here we are in the new battle junk, and I've still got my electric long guns on the sides and in the back, but I put Phoenix Talons in the front. You do get 2 top and 2 bottom deck weapons with since in the front of this ship, so it does work out pretty good. And then you also automatically have the taunting perks that you get with this ship, so shooting them pretty much once with the Phoenix Talons mounted in the front pretty much taunts just about anything instantly, with the exception of I didn't test it on players, and I'm sure some bosses it's not going to work for one shot, but pretty much anything that I was experiencing, it was working really, really well. So highly recommend that. Throw them on the front of your battle junk is probably what I'm gonna do, at least for the short term here, unless I suddenly dislike them for some reason. And then the new level 16 boss is available starting this week as well. So she's a little bit more difficult, and she's gonna trigger you with taunt yourself. So definitely, and torn sails and set you ablaze. So definitely bring restoration kits for this fight, and some friends, right? Use the call for help. Otherwise, it's just gonna take forever to bring down. She's just got a big damage pool, right? But yeah, I put the new Phoenix Talons in the front. They were working pretty good here. They're slightly different than Zamzamas, right? So we'll go. Those are sort of the before the Phoenix Talons, right, they were the sort of the go-to fire variant of the demi cannon, right, the shotgun style guns. So yeah, there's some ups and downs to these, I would say, and I'll dig into them a little bit here. But basically, for like Zamzamas, technically they show that they do more damage and have a faster reload time. But where the difference is going to be in the perks, right? You're going to get the taunting effect, and then there is this 1,800 extra damage you can deal if you land enough bullets on target, right? So it's kind of it's tough to tell what's going to be better, right? But killing this boss is going to get you a Phoenix Talon strongbox, and you get all sorts of drops from this, all sorts of goodies. There are some unique, we got one of them, Lightning Touch. Looks like we got some tattoo or body art or whatever you want to call it. But there are some unique cosmetics that you'll get from that boss now, so it's worth going and farming if you're interested in those. kill her a whole bunch of times, right? So, but just here we'll compare Phoenix Talons to, I would say, Zamzamas are the closest thing that was previously existing, right? That you could craft. And yeah, so 1,374 damage. I do have, I'm on my Sandbook. There might be some minor tweaks and adjustments there to those numbers, but this is where the uniqueness and coolness comes from the Phoenix Talons. It's 18 strikes, landing 18 hits in a single volley will instantly deal the 1,800 burning damage. This effect deals 200% as much damage if the target is already on fire, plus hits cause buildup of taunt. So Zamzamas, you can see the comparison here. It's showing green for these numbers. Damage is higher, reload is better, right? So yeah, 1374 for damage and 3.3 for reload versus 1549 and 3.15 for reload, right? Like, it's not that much different, right? But, on paper here, Zamzamas look like they're going to be, yeah, and burning damage as well is better on the Zamzamas. 229, 40, and 45 versus the 323 and 64 for the Zamzamas, right? So Zamzamas are going to be better just in general, but if you're getting those, using these perks appropriately, right, getting enough hits and triggering that extra burning damage, especially if they're already ablaze, that's going to do even more damage. That's when you're going to see the Phoenix Talons be a little bit better. Also, if you don't have anything, like the Sandbook doesn't have anything in particular that does, taunting, right? So if you want to start triggering taunt, you're going to have to go that direction. So my preference here is going to be, I'm going to play around with this, is to do the Phoenix Talons in the front and then on my Sandbook, and then probably keep the Fire Bombards all the way around, right? So, but yeah, even because on the sides here, you can see, it's hard to compare Bombards versus Talons, but, it looks slightly worse, right? But but like, I like the Bombards on my Sandbook because you get, the 4 top deck weapon slots, right? And then I have been using the Warhammer lately, but you guys know how I like the LeFleur on my Sandbook as well sometimes. I think what might be a even better choice might be the new Crouching Tiger that you can buy from the bartender, just because this also, has the chance to trigger taunt, which, like, it's not too big of a deal, but, like, I think, like, especially if you're in that, like, PvP, right, player versus player, if you ever want to fight a real player, like, taunt is going to play a big effect, right, because it basically nerfs incoming damage from them when you taunt them. And then I've been using Ouroboros. Like, this armor piece is making a comeback now that severe damage is just getting even more involved in the game, right? There's more things that could do severe damage to you. And so it gives you this restoration, restores 100 severe damage a second. It's not as strong, right? Like, there's stronger armor pieces out there, but none of them restore severe damage. So this is the weapon, or the furniture pieces that I've put on, right? Rigging station for my major furniture for the healing. Companion Spirits Locker helps with armor. Bombard works as, because I'm doing bombards all the way around except in the front, right? So the Sandbook's got the 6 weapon ports in the front, right? Like, I think that's golden for Phoenix Talons. And then, beam supports and double planked armor here too, right? So this is definitely, like, mix this up however you please, but this is kind of what I'm going with right now. That's going to be my mixed build, right? And so what I wanted to do was I went out and was testing, like, I'm like, all right, I'm going to do the same event, right? So this is the Convoy of Coin event, and what I've done is I've put Phoenix Talons all the way around the ship, right? So I've got them in the front, the sides, and the back. They sound different than Zamzamas too, which is kind of cool. But yeah, so you can see the taunt charge building up on them and the ablaze effect building up on them. It is kind of hard to tell when and if you trigger that extra 1,800 damage or not. I think that it would be nice to have some sort of indicator, like, letting me know that I procced that, But you can kind of see it if you're paying good attention to, like, their health bar as you shoot them, right? Especially if they're already ablaze, because that effect is even stronger if they're already on fire. But yeah, I definitely like these. It's really, really tough to tell if they're better or worse than the Zamzamas. I think it really has to do whether you want the extra taunt status effect to be triggered or not, right? Like that's the biggest. That's going to be the biggest difference, is whether you want that taunt effect or not. So, but I think like just for sheer damage, like just damage over time, right? Like because the reload's a little faster and the damage output is a little bit higher, I think the Zamzamas are a little bit better. So right, if you don't get these right away, not a big deal, right? But so here I switched to, I'm doing the same event, but this is a different one, right? We showed the completion of that one. And here I'm using Zamzamas instead of the Phoenix Talons, right? So same exact build everywhere else. I've got the Warhammer and the same furniture pieces and all that fun stuff. But instead of Phoenix Talons all the way around, I'm using Zamzamas all the way around for every weapon slot, right? And it's so similar, right? It's so similar. So, yeah, I think really you'd really have to pay attention to those perks, right? So the extra taunting effect, and then the, that extra, like, if you hit them with enough, shells or projectiles, whatever you want to call it, right? Then you get that extra 1800 damage. So, and then that's going to be amplified even better if the target's already on fire. So I think that's where the balance is, right? So it's really, really tough to say whether they're better or worse, or probably even really close to the same. I think where they stand out is that extra taunt charging that you're gonna be adding to enemies, right? So, and like a lot of times with PvE, that's not too big of a deal. So this second round of the Convoy of Coin, I don't know if I like cut the video at the same length, but they each took about 4 minutes to do, right? So like I soloed it, I didn't do call for help, there's no other players here, and I went and did these, Convoy of Coin 3 times, right? So I did it once. The first time we saw was just the Phoenix Talons, and then this time it is just the Zamzamas, right? I'm using my rocket launcher too. I did that for all 3 playthroughs, right? So there we get the world event completed. We did run into Captain Dirk and Curran, right? If I can't say his name, right? So excuse me. That may have played like a little bit of part in there. So like I think if he wasn't there, maybe the Zamzamas, I would have got through it a little quicker. I don't know. But here is my like mixed build and what I was like showing earlier when I was going through my build, right? So I put Phoenix Talons in the front, and then I left my regular standard Fire Bombard 3s in the back. And I do think this one, it still took about 4 minutes to go through the Convoy of Coin, convoy mission, but maybe slightly longer. But like what I like here is the Bombards have the range, right? So you don't have to get so up close and personal, right? And sometimes it depends on what you're fighting, right? Like I think if you're going PvP and you ended up against like a battle junk, right? Like then that ship just automatically triggers taunt on you if you're close to it. So you might want to stay far away from it. Like it's going to be all dependent on your situation, right? Like this is one of those games where like you can have different ships and different builds for different activities, right? So I think my preference here was to do this mixed build of I used to have Zamzamas in the front of my Sambook. I think I like having the Phoenix Talons there instead, and then still doing Bombards around the outside. Just another update for this week. William Blackwood does have some new items in his store for the green emerald gem things, whatever these are called, imperial gems, whatever they're called, right? So he's got the Bombards that trigger provoking and taunt effect, right? Cannonball carving station. This is a good one, right? Hitting weak points applies taunting charge on the target, increases taunt duration, and reduces reload time of piercing weapons. I don't care too much about the piercing weapons, but I mean that's probably good for your electric long guns, right? I think they do piercing. And then yeah, it's got a couple of new like furniture pieces, right? These have been dropping from the bosses, so if you don't have those, like you've probably got those already. Phoenix Crest is in here again too. That was one from that you could get the blueprint from this season's story missions, right? Carronades, this would be a good one to pick up if you don't have these. These are regular style culverins that trigger flooding and have a small amount of severe damage if the target is flooded, so that's pretty cool. La Potence schematics, right? So this is increased damage to weak points. And then he does now have the Wailing Ward blueprint, right? So I think I end up buying this just because I don't have it, but like I've got plenty, you know, I've gotten that armor piece from doing plenty of other activities, right? And same with Wraithful Ward, right? So Wailing Ward is the one that's like gives you defense against the poison, and then the Wraithful Ward triggers poison if you're bracing, right? So, and then yeah, he's got the blueprint for the furniture piece as well. And then if you just wanted to outright buy a Wailing Ward, you could do that as well here, right? So he's got new stuff this week, so I just wanted to call that out. And then, you know, since it is, you know, weekly reset on Tuesdays here, right? So the bartender in St. Anne and, you know, the other black market person over in the East Indies, they're going to have new stuff as well, so I'll just check that out really quick for you here too. Open black market, Dardanel's gun. So these are good for, you know, if you've been watching my videos before, right? I think these are the only weapon that have the like explosive 3, right? So you could do these for an explosive build. I actually really like those for sea monster fights. I think they work really good there. Ballista Works, I wouldn't buy these. You can craft these, right, from the carpenter. This furniture piece increases secondary damage of rockets. So this is a good one if you've got rockets on, right? It's always tough to, like, you know, when I get one of these, I'm like, oh, I'm using rockets right now. But then it's like, what furniture piece am I going to sacrifice, right? So, and then Royal Custodian, so you can buy the blueprint from her now. I mean, like, get it if you've got the 8s, right? Like, if you've got a lot of 8s like I do, I'm going to buy the blueprint just to have it. But honestly, Royal Custodian's not that great of an armor piece. So, like, I think that one the gear score on it's only 400, right? So it's a little bit lower on the totem pole as far as the purple rarity of armor pieces, right? But that is going to be our video for today, guys. Like I said, I think, you know, the Phoenix Talons, the new weapons, they've definitely got their place. But yeah, they're very, very similar to the Zamzama. So you're going after those additional perks that they have. Is where you're going to come out on top with those. But make sure you guys are following the channel. We have more Skull and Bones content in the works. We'll see you next time.